All right, we are here once again with the magnificent Taoist wizard Patrick Giguere. Thank you, my friend, for showing up. And today we're going to be talking about some really interesting stuff that you have found in your work as a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, having to do with the stuff that we're all discovering with the stuff that I'm sharing and we've been learning from higher dimensional beings. So, take it away, my friend. What do you have to share with us?
Okay, so the 30-second background for everyone. I was reading this book. It's called The Extraordinary Vessels. So this is a super deep dive nerd book. You've got to have a background in Chinese medicine. Everyone's pretty knowledgeable. Well, they know the existence of the 12 main organ meridians and the acupuncture system, but you have a layer deeper than that. And those are the eight psychic channels, aka the eight extraordinary vessels. So what these do is they basically they control they represent the different forces in your psyche, and they actually govern the development of your physical body. So I was reading this book and so I transcribed that passage and I emailed it to you and you said, yeah, this could be some good material. And the more I look at this, it's exactly like this pan-Eurasian cosmology that I've been listening to you talk about and explain for the last 8 years. Um, so it's really cool. So yeah, I thought, we could get into that and have some tangents and what.
Yeah. So what caught my attention, I believe in the email you sent me a while back, is that you had kind of a deeper understanding of the Shin, the heart mind energy,
Yeah,
where that came from.
yeah,
So
exactly.
just to let people know what you're referring to, and again, you can correct me and fill in the blanks. But what I discovered 10, 15 years ago was that the Vedics, the Taoists, and the pre-Christian European Germanic tribes had the same understanding of the cosmos. They had different little, things that they did, but the basic understanding was the same. And if you were able to put the mythologies together, you'd see a really, beautiful map of everything. So the Taoists, as I understand it, they say that from nothing comes the one. From the one comes the two, which is yin and yang. From the three, which is the three dantians, comes the five, which is the five elements. And from five comes infinity. So we've been really focusing on this revelation. It's more like this force, in my experience, is now coming to reveal itself to the world. And that is what I'm referring to as the She, the XI, the heart mind energy, which is in TCM, it has been reduced to the heart protector. And so people have this understanding has a very important connection to things like chi and energy and all of that stuff. But what I've come to find out in these Maoshan practices that you're learning, that I've been experimenting with and learning, is that this is the higher dimensional energy. It's an electromagnetic force from a higher dimension that gets projected into the third dimension through the heart center, and it wraps around the soul, which is called the Shen. And there you have actually masculine and feminine, but that area of the soul and the heart mind energy is actually a portal to much higher dimensions, much more power. And until recently, from what I can tell, until the most recent Maoshan teachers started tapping into this and learning or being given practices that activate this, awaken it, and then bring it into physical reality. I don't think we've human beings have ever seen anything even close to this power. So, what I've come to understand is that this energy is what the Egyptians called Sekhmet, which means feminine self. Sekhm means the self, like the source, the God, and that each person is a sechem, is a projection, is a third dimensional um, holographic projection of the sechem. And so then there's the sechmet, which is the feminine. And so from my perspective, that and based on the mythology of the ancient Egyptians, the Sekhmet, the heart mind, the heart protector, is the single most powerful energy that we have here. And so you contacted me and you said that you found some things in some esoteric, as you said, you pulled out the book, understandings that brought more understandings into how that energy is responsible for connecting us to the three power centers, the three dantians, the five elements. Really is the mother of the physical body. Anyway, that's the way I heard it, but please feel free to
Hmm.
fill in the blanks. All right, so now go.
I think you're on the money. So yeah, so basically I'll give a little summary in the beginning and then we can go into more detail, but this heart mind, heart protector, it's like the advance party, the advanced team that comes out of the void. And it's this envelope that allows like our gestation and our development and our sustained life to take place.
Hmm.
So that comes out of the void. It creates this container, and then everything else, the organs, the three dantians, the 12 meridians, the eight psychic channels all develop inside this container. So it makes it possible for our lives to literally happen. And, as you've been saying ad nauseum, it's a two-way street. So you can travel back up it.
Yeah,
It's not like it's just, in just mainstream Chinese medicine, it would just kind of like fall down here and then you're in this world of finite energy that banks and politicians and churches love us to believe we live in.
yeah, and
And
we're
there's no
victims of
inner.
circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, yeah, let me pull something up real quick. Where the heck is it? Let me do that again. I'll find a folder for this project here. Okay. So it so this is the post. Can you see that diagram?
Yeah,
Okay. So this is the post heaven, postnatal Bagua. The Chinese put north at the bottom
yeah.
and south at the top. So this right down here, I wrote Niflheim next to it. That is a channel called that's a psychic channel called the Yin Chao. So
So
the
hang on one second. What I'm looking at in front of me is a bunch of documents. Are you looking?
Oh, okay. One sec. Let me try that again. Ah, that's it.
There it is. So now we're looking at the Bagua.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I wrote in the names of the nine worlds
Yeah.
next
So
to it.
that's the nine worlds coming from the pre-Christian Germanic um, shamanic understanding of reality. All right.
Yeah. So at the bottom here, we've got Niflheim. So we have this void energy.
which is that's the north, right?
Yeah, it's the north. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the north, it's the waters of life.
Yep.
So this is basically this is that Tai. This is the great one. It's the energy of the formless unity.
And that's comes after the pure emptiness.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So the pure, yeah.
So
The
we
pure
experience Tai Yi as being the void, but that's only because it hasn't been fully manifested.
exactly.
But it's actually the first manifestation of energy. But before that,
Right.
just a complete true void.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so the master point for this, it's bladder 62, so it's a water channel. So that syncs up between the Norse nine worlds and this Chinese Bagua. It's ruled by water.
Interesting. Yeah, what a coincidence.
Yeah. So then we move on to the northeast, which with the Chinese compass will be in the lower left. So we're in Asgard now. Now the master point for Asgard in Chinese medicine is, you guessed it, PC6, Heart Protector 6.
Wow.
So so out of this void space comes the fire from heaven. So we're talking the heart mind.
Now, is that the Shen also, or is the Shen found somewhere else on this map?
The Shen is not represented on here.
Okay, so then that makes me feel like it is because we're talking about the shield around it.
Right. You could maybe put it right dead center in the middle in the
Oh,
ninth
okay.
world
All right.
potentially.
Got it. Okay.
One way you could look at it. Or it's piggybacking, in Asgard somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yet to be revealed. All right. Keep going.
Or maybe both. So yeah, so out of that void space comes the fire from heaven. So you've got the heart mind, aka heart protector, aka pericardium, and its most diminished title.
And again, we're looking at this upside down because they see north as being at the bottom. So we're looking at northeast. Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, accompanying, so the other fire from heaven accompanying the heart mind, it says TW right here. So that is the triple warmer. So that's the three Dantians.
Okay. So the triple, the third eye, the heart center, and the navel center.
Exactly. And so yeah, so the sequence that they go over in these passages from these obscure Taoist medical texts again. So we get the void at the north and the bottom here. Then you get they call both of these the formless, but especially the heart mind. It's the formless, and as I've learned from you with in the Northeast here with Asgard, it's the energy that's taking form that has not yet taken
Yeah.
a physical form. So
Psychologically, from our perspective, it's what we are either hoping or fearing in the future.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so they emphasize this heart mind as being formless. The heart mind and the three Dantians as being formless, but really ultimately powerful over this whole system, this whole universe.
Got it.
And then, they don't, in these passages, they don't necessarily have a correspondence here to all these worlds, but after these two developments, so you get out of the void, you get the heart mind, you get the three Dantians. Then what they talk about is you get the moving, they call it the moving energies between the kidneys. And then that's what the organs and the organ meridians develop out of.
Okay.
So,
From the void comes the primordial fire, from which comes the three dantians,
mhm.
from which comes then now what we would experience as the first physical manifestation of energy. And this is happening between the kidneys.
Yes. So in Chinese medicine, you have a yin kidney, the left kidney, and then the right kidney is the yang kidney.
Yeah.
So you've got two poles for a battery, and they very much treat the kidneys like a battery. It is rechargeable, but it's not easy. So, you don't want to be willy-nilly with that energy. So once you get those two kidneys, another way they look at it is that the void sort of like localizes itself within your body. Now that you have this fiery shield around it, the fiery shield of the heart mind.
So is this corresponding, is this like a proto expression of what the navel is about to do?
Yes,
So
I
the
would
upper
agree with that.
dantian, the navel especially. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and then, way we could look at this is we go to the top left here, which is the southeast. So we've got Svartalfheim. And, I don't want to go into it, but the gallbladder has a very close connection with the kidneys, and the gallbladder is the master point here. So, yeah. So, yeah, once we have the three Dantians, then where this naval center is developing, and these instincts are developing from which we can start creating things out of.
Hmm. Which is again corresponds with the mythology of the dwarves, which the way I interpret them is they are our subconscious intentions, not our unconscious emotions, but our subconscious intentions.
Yeah. Yeah. And while we're on the subject of the two kidneys, another interesting thing is that they call this space between the two kidneys, they call it the womb. And an interesting thing that my professors in acupuncture school used to, these Chinese professors, they never gave a great explanation for it, but they used to say, well, everybody has a womb. They were like males too, and it used to drive people insane. They'd be like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it's between your kidneys because the energy's going back and forth. Because you got two poles, and they're like, what? What? How is that possible? I don't have a womb.
Okay. So what I'm also finding now as I'm listening to you, it's bringing to mind what I've been discovering with the Xuan Wu form that I've just started teaching and people are doing. And interesting that Xuan Wu, the Dark Warrior of the North, is the Lord of not only Yin and Yang, but of water and earth. And as you're talking about this central point where all the energy is coming together, do me a favor, drop the screen for just a second so
Yeah,
people can see us.
certainly.
So as we're getting to the point now where the energy is now, is like I'm seeing like sparks flying between the kidneys, and a projection is starting to, and I'm getting the sense now I'm making the connection because I'm like, when I first started teaching this set, it was simply because I had an invocation for Xuan Wu, which I had used before to great benefit. I do, the beginning of the form where you do and you're drawing out the Chinese character for his name. That's what
Whoa,
I don't know if maybe you didn't know that beginning part like this. You are drawing in the air his name, Xuan Wu, and
whoa.
so he he shows up. And so the the guys that were doing this, 100, 200 years ago, however long they've been doing it, they would do it so that they would summon him and then get power from him, right? So I've done it and had great success with it. And then I said, okay, I'd like to make a set out of this. So I asked, would you like me to make a set for you? And I got the feeling yes. So I started moving and creating it. And of course, it was nothing like what I expected. I was going to create, your typical, Mao Shan spirit fighting set. And it turned into this really, as you've seen it, more like a big qigong. I mean, it's even more intense than Tai Chi. It's turned into this big qigong thing with the, and then at the end you've got the, I found myself doing this thing. There's something in Tai Chi that's similar, but that thing where you're creating this expanding yang and then creating the yin. And what, of course, I was just interested in getting high off the energy. That's all I cared about. And then what ended up happening was, wow, a whole magical world appeared. My mind was now able to see. And I went, okay, the earth is the mind, but he's also the master of water. And what I'm hearing you say is it starts with the water. The water comes in and it gives birth. And then you're talking about this womb. The kidneys are obviously water. So you got these two watery kidneys and I'm starting to think that's Xuan Wu. That's who that is. That's why the mythology has him taking out his entrails and cleaning them.
Wow.
You've seen, I'm sure you know the story about him, right?
I haven't gotten into that yet.
Yeah.
I want
So
to.
the mythology behind him is that as he was achieving his perfection, he he took out his digestive tract. He took out his entrails and he washed it in the stream. And out of that came all of this darkness. The dark water came out of that. And then from that came these two demons. The demons were the tortoise and the snake. And they were very, so it represents all of his negativity, all of his negative mind stuff
Huh.
being released. And so what he did is he used his power then to turn them into his servants.
Wow.
So now they represent the empowered higher frequency of yin and yang, and he controls them. And that's what gives him his power. And he's used for protection, but I'm experiencing him. And again, the lower navel, according to the ancient Mao Shan, the lower dantian, the navel, what it does is it dispels all of the calamities, all of the bad luck. It doesn't drive evil away. It doesn't destroy evil. It transforms it. So it takes whatever is negative within you and then uh, dispels all of the negativity out of that. And then you have what is supposed to be there. And so as I've experienced it, working with him, he opens up this new world in my mind, which is, we're talking about Svartalfheim and what you're saying about it. And it's like what we can actually see and perceive. And I mean, you can talk about this, but my understanding of the earth element is that when people's earth element is not functioning well, they get confused, they overthink because they can't, it's like the flywheel just won't grab onto a thought and make it work. They just can't stop thinking. And either that or they're confused or they got muddy thinking. And I'm really now the mind isn't the intellect, as we know. So we Westerners, we hear the mind and we think the intellect. And that's not what the ancients saw the mind as. They saw the mind as where we fantasize a reality that we can see and perceive and then create. So everything that you've just said is now making all this other stuff kind of pop in my head and come true. So anyway, that's what I was just getting from what you were showing me.
Wow. Yeah. Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. So if you want, you can put the picture back up.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, one sec. I think I closed it. Oh my God. One
Technology.
sec. So many windows. Okay.
Sorry, it's just that when we got the picture up, people can't see us. So
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Um, all right, where's the damn shit? Okay, okay. Here we go. Yeah, so back to these master points.
yes, please continue.
Yeah. So yeah, getting, and I reflected on these a little bit. The text doesn't go into all of these, but based on what I've learned, I can make some deductions. Um, so we get into the fire here in the south, but at the top on this, Chinese style diagram. So we're in the fire home, the Muspelheim. Master point is a lung point. So
Hmm.
one thing about fire is it runs off of air. So it's like you have to inspire, take a breath to start acting, in the world. So there's that. And then we get to the top right, to the southwest, to Hellhome. Master point is for it's a kidney point. It's for what's called the yin heal channel. Now, what's interesting is this yin chao mai, this yin heal channel. This is like the Pandora's box in your energy body. So I think it's very appropriate that it's in the southwest here. So when you're activating this in a treatment or, in a qigong form, for example, what this does, so this basically this master point, it's below the inside ankle bone. So, you've got that ankle bone on the inside, on the outside. This is the inside one.
That's so interesting because you hadn't said that, and the whole time you're talking about it, I can point to that. That's where I wasn't even conscious of it, but that was in my mind, that exact spot.
That's really cool.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, so it goes from that basically that inside ankle bone goes a little farther, but that inside ankle bone up the inside of the thigh, and it basically runs, over the abdomen just outside the belly button, and it runs up to just above the collarbone right here. So if you go, there's like a little knob under.
Where,
Let me jump out of the.
yeah. So where on the collarbone?
So what? So how to find that point? You know how like right above your sternum, you've got these two knobs where the collarbones end.
Yeah.
If you go from that one knob and then over to the
To the,
bump on the other end of your collarbone,
okay.
you go right in the middle on the top edge of the collarbone.
Okay.
Really tender point. That point
Yeah.
is stomach 12, and the Chinese name basically means something like the broken bowl. And a good use for it is when someone's just burned out and like they just don't they feel like they don't have any earth energy, it's like they're craving sugar real bad and like they're just sort of like at a loss in general. It's like it's a good point because it helps your helps you to contain that earth energy. And so that's also a meeting point for different channels, but that's like the last accessible point on that yin heal channel.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of emotion stored in there. Basically, that yin heal channel, which that kidney six is the master of, it's the part of your psyche that helps you to like stand up to yourself. It helps us to face our baggage and just say, well, you know what? I've made mistakes. These are the circumstances of my life, but God damn it, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna do something. You know,
Let me jump in here with a question. Let me know if I'm on the right track here. Because, one of my big spiels is that the main problem with people to people today, the main problem with people is the inability to take contrary action, which is you have to be able to tolerate your circumstances. You have to be able to tolerate your negative feelings. You have to be able to tolerate your fears and take
mhm.
actions that are completely contrary to all of your fear-based impulses and emotions. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, you are always encouraging us to firm up this part of our energy body.
So this is Earth again.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So on the Bagua diagram, it's Earth, but the master point is a water point because it's kidney 6 is the activation point.
And this is connected to the world would be Helheim
Yes,
in the north,
exactly.
and Helheim is the unconscious.
Yep.
So this is a direct gate to the unconscious mind.
Yes. And that tender spot below that inside ankle bone too. It's like
Yeah,
it's like where like a stirrup would go. It's where if you go downward, you fall off the bones and it gets tender.
yeah. Interesting. Maybe that's where they came up with Achilles' heel, because that was the only thing that could get rid of his ability. What you're talking about, his strength, they had to shoot him in the heel right there
Yeah. And then you on the other side, you have a yang heel channel. And
on
that's
the
the,
outside.
yeah. So the other place where the stirrup goes, and that's the part of our energy, of our psyche, our energy body that helps us stand up to the world. So on either side of the heel, you have the ability to stand up to yourself and your inner wounds, and then your ability to stand up to the world.
And, and I'm stuck on Achilles, the most
Yep.
powerful warrior in Greek mythology, and he got shot with an arrow through those two spots.
Yeah.
So it got rid of his inability to overcome his own fears and insecurities, and it took away his ability to stand up to others.
Yep.
He went down, killed him. So Achilles is the symbol of exactly what you're talking about. That's why he was unbeatable. Nobody could beat him because he had the ability to tolerate his own unconscious, and at the same time, he could tolerate anything you could throw at him. Wouldn't stop him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're saying this is what are you saying this is? I don't want to speak for you.
So this would be the combination of these two heel vessels, these two heel channels.
And both of these heel channels are Earth.
Um, they're activated by water points, but they're very earth oriented because they help us ground ourselves to the earth.
And again, that tells me why
They're
Xuan Wu.
so they're so inextricably connected, this earth and water.
So this tells me again why Xuan Wu is like almost single-handedly worshipped by Taoist martial artists. He's
Yeah,
the guy they worship.
yeah. In these channels, they're involved with the development of our spine and our posture. You know, when you want to adjust somebody's posture, these are very, very handy. Someone like Andrew Lum, who was,
Yeah,
he was born with some, you know, s-
spinal
yeah,
curvatures or something. Yeah.
yeah,
For anybody
his
who's listening, he's the grandmaster of the art that I'm teaching, or was. He's since passed on.
yeah, his teacher would have gone to town on those. He would have probably as a little boy, he would have given him just very simple exercises to start tuning those to adjust how he stood on the earth.
And that's why he learned the art is because, and this is traditional, and this was 100 years ago. What they did traditionally is if you had a sick child, you took him to the local kung fu master, who would again at least know something about um, traditional Chinese medicine and something about acupuncture, and he'd know something about meridians. And the practices themselves, just by doing the postures and the movements and the breathing, would light all these things up. So
Yep.
just to let people know why, again, that's different, again, I mean, the art that I practice, I think when you open it up, it's the most effective I've ever found. But even if we were talking about so-called less effective, kung fu arts, and we've got this MMA out there, why the heck would you want to do kung fu or Shaolin when you can do MMA? Well, because the MMA guy, when he's in his 30s and 40s, is going to be a wreck.
Yeah.
The kung fu guy in his 40s, 50s, and 60s is going to get stronger and healthier
Just getting started, really.
because the practices themselves, just by doing them, activate all of these channels and these points and these meridians. All right, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done for the moment.
No, thank you, because it furthers my understanding just listening to you. It's pretty awesome. Um, yeah. So one last thing about, the top right, the hell home, southwest. Um, kidneys are considered to, be the storehouse of your jing and your genetics. So it's like, yeah,
Hmm.
they're gonna control how how your body develops. And then, our inherited emotion too.
Hmm.
There's a whole thing we could go into where it's like because of these eight psychic channels, the heart, mind, and the sexual organs are actually connected.
Yep.
So if you as an adult, male or female, when you conceive a child, whatever emotional baggage that you will probably not be able to handle in your own life, it goes down this energy channel called the Bao Mai. It goes from the heart mind straight to the sexual organs and it gets passed on
Wow.
to your children. So yeah, so these energy practices, this is another reason these are important. 'Cause it's like, I'm not gonna make some child deal with my shit.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Wow. That is amazing.
Um, and it's like, I mean, I've known like people in my own family and other families and friends' families where it's like they can kind of pay the angel of death by like having children. It's like they can be in like really tough circumstances in life. Um, with like addictions or just self-destructive behaviors, and it's like and they basically come to a point where it's like they're going to destroy themselves and they decide, you know what, I got to get it together and I'm gonna have a family here, and it's like and their lives do turn around, but then it's like they basically they kind of kick the responsibility down the road to the next generation. So it's like, you know,
It also sounds like a way for them to deal with their unconscious issues. They externalize them.
yeah, you get like
Then,
an external,
yeah, if they're good parents, then they end up giving their kids what they needed.
hell yes.
And if they're not good parents, then they end up just making it worse, whatever they had.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This stuff's amazing.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
So then we get the Vanaheim in the west, so on the right side in this case.
Yeah, yeah. So the Vanaheim is the home of the Vanir, which are they're the what I call the earthly gods in the Vedic understanding, which I think is rather extreme and slightly distorted, is they have the Devas and the Asuras. Um, but that's not really what that means. Asuras doesn't mean demons. It's not gods and demons. So the Vanaheim are associated with things having to do with more physical reality, having to do with relationships, having to do with magic, sex, fertility, those kinds of things. All right, just as a background. All right, continue.
Yeah. So this one is the master point is a fire channel. The master point is small intestine 3. And that is you go to this pinky knuckle.
Just to let you know, they can't see what you're doing right now.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I
right,
can see you,
right,
but they can't.
right. So you go to this, you go to your pinky knuckle on the blade of your hand here, your karate chop side of your hand. You go down off the knuckle and you fall into a soft spot. And that's that point.
Okay.
It's a wood point on a fire channel. And we talked a lot about this point when we were going over how these acupoints figure into the Marchand forms.
The wood point
Uh,
on fire. That's in here. I just learned that old school boxing before they used gloves is that this was the point that you punched with. You didn't punch right now. Guys who wear gloves, they punch with this part of the fist. But the old school guys punched with this part of the fist right here. This was the line. That's why you see the old school guys doing this as opposed
yeah,
to this, because they're punching with that wood fire point.
just saw a video about that. I saw something too where people were saying they would like turn the fist around and
Yeah,
hit with that too.
yeah. They would open the fist and hit like that. They would hit with the side of the fist. They
Mm.
would do basically what we now think is kung fu. They would,
Yeah.
and it's because if you didn't, you'd break your hands.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And that's so we got a lot of now modern, MMA guys that are cracking their, that's why in movies they punch and they talk about because they're punching wrong. There's no reason for that. I mean, you can punch with this side of your fist, all day and nothing's going to happen. You can punch with this part of your hand, nothing's going to happen. You can punch with this part of your hand. You can do that all day, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
As soon as you start punching with these knuckles, like on you're gonna crack something. You're gonna break something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, even that William Fairbairn who created the World War II hand-to-hand system.
Yeah.
He was what is it? He was in the Shanghai police force when the British were there, and he was in something like 300 documented street fights, and he trained every art he could get his hands on. And when the Americans and the Brits brought him in to develop a hand-to-hand system, he's like none of this crap. It was all he called that like a tiger claw and edge of the hand, back fists and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, he knew. Um, yeah, so
All right. So tell me more about the wood fire point there.
yeah, so that point, that small intestine 3, that's a master point to a channel called the Dumai. So the Dumai runs up the midline of your back. So basically like the line of your spine and up to your head. Um, so kind of a sidebar with that, when you were talking about the immortal set or the assassin set, how it activates the
Yeah.
channel up the midline of your neck up to your head. That's
And
going to be
that's, yeah, one of the opening moves is from here to here where and I don't, so people can't see me. All right. So take this off for a
Oh
second.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the beginning of that set, which is called the Immortal Fist, you're doing the same thing as with the Xuan Wu. In the beginning, you're carving out the name Immortal. So part of that character is your hands are like this, and then you drop down like that. And what I found out is that other Qigong masters and other internal martial artists, when they saw that, they would go, "That's dangerous." The first thing. Some of them would say, "That's evil, that's demonic, or that's dangerous."
Mm,
Like, what does that mean? And I heard that what it is it opens up this a channel that creates what we experience as just like intense rage.
yeah.
Not what it is, but that's how it's classified. And so when people see that, they go, "That's dangerous."
Uh, huh. Wow. Yeah, do some pearl clutching. Yeah, that channel is basically the distributor. It's one of the distributors for the yang energy in your body. And so it gets it up to the brain so that, you can you can intellectually think efficiently so you can navigate this world.
Interesting.
And you can sedate it too if someone's mind's going too fast. There's basically like needle techniques to do that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. It's a little bit off topic. When I first started doing the CE5, the human initiated contact with ETs, I had my first big experience, which you guys all know about, which absolutely just floored me. And then I did it a second time. And this time, what ended up happening was I felt the energy and I started weeping. It
Wow.
because it was so vulnerable and so intense, and it had brought up basically my protection armor was now but while I didn't see any beings with my eyes, I definitely felt somebody was there, and I felt somebody doing something like this.
Mm,
Something like that, right around here. I don't think it was right in the center, but it feels like it was something like this. And wherever the exact thing was, I looked it up, and it turned out that's what'll calm people down
yeah,
if you touch that. So is this what you're talking about?
absolutely. And it kind of has like a strip, like a zone of, influence. So it doesn't have to be dead on like a
Okay.
pencil line. Um, when you rub it going backward or you point the needle backward, you basically sedate it and you calm the
Okay.
brain down. If you go this way, you're going to enliven it. So
Which
that
is
makes
what's
perfect
happening when
sense.
you go bam, and then you start the set. So the third set, you're going, it's bringing this forward instead of
Wow.
calming down. You're going, okay, okay, that makes sense. And
Huh.
so also then, so if there's like a channel of it instead of it being one line, then theoretically speaking, some higher dimensional being could see exactly the part of the point that needed to get. So they would just right there, just calm down, you'll be all right.
Yeah. It's like a Lego set or something to them. They
Yeah.
can see all the components.
Yeah, and it did, and it did. It calmed me down, and I definitely felt like there was this feminine, loving presence that was just it was so and I was going like this because I thought there was a fly on my head, and but then it just kept on going in that exact spot, just like that, and then I calmed down. So that's interesting.
It's like Crocodile Dundee with the water buffalo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Uh, um, but yeah, so that channel, one of the interesting things about it too is it really comes online when you're about 5 years old because that is the stage in your development where your mom starts handing you off to your dad, and your
And you
dad
go off
starts,
to yeah, and you leave.
yeah,
Leave whatever that is, nursery school, and you go to kindergarten.
yeah. And it's like a good dad teaches you like how to not make a fool of yourself in the outside world.
Yeah.
And with the West, with Vanaheim, it's like like in the rune reading as you teach it, that's your relationship with the world and everyone
Yep.
else.
Yep. That's yeah, how your identity relates with the world. Yeah.
So it's amazing how this stuff syncs up. It's like
Yeah, it's
spirituality strikes again.
it's too coincidental. This is a science.
Yeah.
This is physics. We're talking about the physics of energy and the manifestation of consciousness into a physical world. These are the filters through which that comes and creates a reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just listening again. I'm doing some research, and the way it was described is that from the Taoist perspective, is that manifestation, whether it's the world or whether it's a person or whether it's an animal, is energy seeking a substratum to be manifested. And so that has a specific code, that through which energy is going through a specific code, and then it lands on the paper, for example, which would be our third dimension. And that's all as I'm looking at this eight-sided. And now we're not talking about mythology, we're talking about actual energetic pathways in the body and the connection. And it all comes down to this, that what I'm looking at right now is the filter through which energy is projected, which results in a human being.
Yep.
Got it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then, well, since we're getting there on time, we'll get to the last of these eight sides of this bagua. We go to the bottom right here, which is northwest. So this is Alfheim. So this is the home of the ancestors and our higher selves, the light beings.
Yeah.
Master point for this is spleen 4. So the spleen physically being the master digestive organ, and then, in the psyche, it's the organ of comprehension.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's kind of the completion of the whole thing. And then the psychic channel associated with this master point, it's the Chong Mai, so it's the central channel that runs from the crown of the head down to the perineum in the center of the pelvis.
Interesting. Okay, so that would explain why. Okay, phase out that picture for a moment.
Yes.
So that would explain why, for instance, interdimensional meditation has such a huge correlation with the crown chakra and the pineal gland and all of that, because that's their channel. So the higher self, the ascended masters, the spirit guides, the light beings, higher dimensional extraterrestrials, however you want to, the gods, however you want to look at it, they're going to send energy. Yeah. And again, I just see that same thing. Like, this is, what you just showed us was a two-dimensional representation of a filter through which energy is projected. And that eight-sided thing, if you back out into three dimensions, you're looking at a human.
Yeah.
The human being is the most powerful talisman there is. When you align that and activate it and empower it, I mean, there isn't anything more powerful than that.
Yeah.
And that's all that we're trying to accomplish here. That's the one thing I love about Taoism. I don't identify as anything. I've trained in Maoshan Taoism. I know what it is. Um, you know, I have strong connections to even now new stuff like Egyptian stuff, but I forgot what I was saying. But we're looking at the physics of consciousness being projected onto a third dimensional plane. And to understand that, that is the doorway through which we leave and go to a higher dimensional place. And why it's just so much more than just being healthy. That's just I mean, that's barely getting off, the basement floor of this. Health is the first thing, you know, but it also shows us, as you're pointing out, like I didn't mention it a whole lot, but when you talked about how Helheim, the um, the unconscious, and its connection to, I think I hope I got this right, the heart mind and creating a child. It's going to go
Yeah.
through that. It's going to go through that. So there's no way not to project your unconscious into a child. So we see,
Right.
it goes into a fractal of that same filter, but it's going to be skewed, in a certain way. So that child has to spend their life getting that come back into. So we're doing them.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like clean up your unconscious as much as possible, before you pass it on.
Yeah, and that's really the one of the main things of all spiritual practices, meditation, yoga, qigong, Maoshan, is you're cleaning up your unconscious mess.
Yeah.
And then if you do that, from what I'm hearing you say, then you'll have um, a direct channel that will go through you up into infinity, and you can then channel that here. Because people use that I would imagine people use that same energetic pathway to do art,
Yeah.
to poetry, uh,
Yep.
whatever it is. Anything artistic is going to come through the unconscious. My one of my yoga teachers, he would say that there's two things you can't escape in life that your unconscious will determine, and that is your spouse and your career. Those two things are going to be determined by your unconscious, and you can't avoid it.
Hmm. Wow.
And again, we're talking about creativity. Those are both expressions of our creativity. And that means that's how we come in with the filter. It's out of balance, and so we right. That's how we get it all lined up so that energy can flow the way it's supposed to, or the way it originally did. Yeah,
Yeah.
very interesting stuff.
Big time.
All right, my friend. I'm interested to know your experiences with Maoshan sets. Anything happened for you recently?
Yeah, well, especially since I began Xuan Wu not long after the first set. Um
First set being the Hands of Infinity. Yeah.
yeah, since started Xuan Wu, that the Dark Warrior of the North is pretty damn powerful. Between training in person with you at the end of July, starting Hands of Infinity, and then putting Xuan Wu on top of that, digestive system has really straightened out. I don't need as much fuel as I did before.
Yeah. Me neither.
It's
I'm not
like,
eating as much as I used to.
yeah, if I tried to
I
eat
haven't
like a
lost any. Well, I've lost some fat, but I haven't lost anything else. I
nice,
find interesting. I wonder how am I able to keep all this and I'm not eating as much.
right? Yeah, if I tried to eat a bulking diet, for people putting on muscle mass, like I'd throw up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
just falling
I eat
asleep.
I eat half a chicken breast twice a day. That's basically my meals.
I'm having that experience. It's like I used to basically I'd wait till the afternoon and I'd eat something and I'd have some big dinner, like in the evening. I have to basically cut the food off by about 6 o'clock, or I'm gonna be like I'm basically getting how would I want to put that? I'm basically getting spanked because it's like, okay, you want to master your organ function. It's like start eating earlier, get it all over with. I got a lesson about drinking water, about getting the water in early so I don't have to get up in the middle of the night. So it's like I'm being schooled by it, and I'm just falling asleep very noticeably better.
Yeah.
So that's powerful.
So does that mean your mind is calming down as well?
Yeah,
Which is, of course, Earth as well,
yeah.
and
And it's
digestion.
it and it's interesting too because I'll do some CE5 as I go to sleep, and I'll do some kind of night, some celestial qigong at night that kind of puts me down nicely. And I'll lay down and start doing the CE5, and it's like I keep at, I ask different beings for guidance, and they're just going. Right now, they're just going, just wait. So it's like the answer I don't want, you know, and they've even said something
Right,
like,
right.
you got to get those American expectations under control. And they're like, just wait.
Yeah.
So I'll give them like either ors and they just go,
Yeah. They're like, we're not a third dimensional, yeah, being here. That doesn't work. It's not
yeah,
either or here.
yeah,
It's and both and neither. Okay, go.
yeah, 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 totally.
Okay, very good. All right. And so you and that my other student is showing up here a couple, 2, 3 weeks, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
That
very cool.
that'll be interesting. Maybe that's what you're waiting for.
Could be. I've been making some good contacts lately too. So, one of my things that I really want is just to be part of like, I don't know, a village, so to speak,
Yep.
just a
Yep.
community that cares about real things.
Yeah.
So making some steps towards that.
Very interesting. All right. So before we shut off the recording here, any last minute words you'd like to share with?
Um, just thanks for the opportunity to get this stuff off my chest and my brain.
Oh, absolutely. It's a
Great.
thrill for me, and I think it's really helpful for others. So, listen, anytime that you find something you want to talk about, you let me know. You've got a seat here in the Wizards Council, and I'd love to hear from you. You helped me a great deal with your knowledge. So,
I'll keep my eyes open for good topics. I'll keep hitting the books.
okay. All right. So, all right, we'll go ahead and end the recording here. Thank you, my powerful wizard brother.
Thank you.
And I'm sure everybody else appreciates you as well. We shall see you soon.